You know that feeling, right? That moment someone goes, "Hey, can I give you some feedback?" and your stomach just plummets. Well, today, we're going to flip that feeling completely on its head. We're going to look at how to see feedback not as something to dread, but as maybe the single most powerful tool you have for growth.
So let's just start with a quick gut check. Seriously, when you hear those words, "I have some feedback for you," what is your immediate honest-to-goodness reaction? Do you feel that shield go up, bracing for an attack? Or do you see it as a gift, an opportunity? Where you land on that question is really the starting point for everything we're about to get into.
So, here's our game plan. We've got 5 steps. First, we'll totally reframe our mindset with the mirror of growth. Then, we'll get proactive and learn how to seek the reflection. After that, we'll master that crucial moment of receiving the message. Then, we're going to put on our detective hats for finding the truth. And finally, the most important part, turning it all into action.
Okay, let's dive into part 1, the mirror of growth. See, before we can even think about changing what we do, we have to change how we see. And this first shift in perspective, well, it makes everything else possible. Let's just be real for a second. It's almost always uncomfortable. That initial sting when you hear something critical, it's a totally universal feeling. Our brains are wired to protect us, so we get defensive, we want to shut down, we want to argue. It's natural. But staying in that place, that's what keeps us stuck.
But what if we made a choice to see it differently? What if it's not an attack at all, but a mirror? Think about it. Feedback is this incredibly rare glimpse of how we actually show up to the rest of the world. It's a point of view we can never get on our own. Now, it might not be the absolute capital T truth, but it is the truth of how someone else sees you. And that perception, that's priceless data. All right, so if feedback is this valuable mirror, why on earth would we just sit around and wait for somebody to randomly hold it up to our face? This next part is all about taking control, about proactively going out and seeking that reflection for ourselves.
You know, getting good feedback really starts with asking good questions. So let's ditch that vague, "So, how am I doing?" and try this instead. First, be specific. Don't ask about your whole job. Ask about that one presentation. Second, choose your moment. Don't ambush someone when they're running to a meeting. And third, frame it for growth. When you say something like, "Hey, I'm really trying to get better at my presentations. What's one thing I could do better?" You're signaling you want real input, not just a pat on the back.
So you've done it. You've asked for the feedback, and now it's coming your way. This next part, receiving the message, this is about mastering that one critical moment. This is where the magic happens.
In that exact moment, you have a choice. You can let the defensive brain take over. You see it there on the left. It makes excuses, it blames, it interrupts. Or you can consciously choose the growth mind on the right. And it all starts with 2 simple but powerful words. Thank you. Just saying that disarms your own defensiveness. It opens the door so you can actually listen, ask questions to understand better, not to argue back.
And this really gets to the core of it. In that moment, you have one job and one job only. Just absorb. That's it. You don't have to agree, you don't have to disagree, you don't have to fix it. Your only task is to separate hearing the information from judging the information. The judging part can wait. Right now, you're just a scientist collecting data.
Okay, so you've collected the data, you listened, you absorbed it. Now comes the part you do on your own later, going through that reflection and figuring out what's actually useful, without all the emotion attached.
I want you to think of this checklist as your personal feedback filter. After the emotions have cooled down, run the comments through these questions. Hey, is this a pattern? Have I kind of heard this before? Even if they said it horribly, is there a tiny grain of truth in there? What does this tell me about what's important to them? And here's the big one. Is there anything in here I can actually use to help me get where I want to go?
In fact, here's a little challenge for you. Even with feedback that feels, 90% unfair or just plain wrong, I challenge you to find the 10% that might be true. There is almost always a little nugget of something useful in there if you're willing to look for it. And that 10%, that's pure gold.
So once you've found that little nugget of gold, it's time for our last and honestly our most important step, actually doing something with it. Because, what's the point of seeing your reflection if you don't use it to, adjust your tie?
Look, this is not about a massive personality transplant. It's about small, consistent tweaks. So just pick one thing. Seriously, just one takeaway. Then define a tiny concrete action. Not I'll be a better listener, but in the next meeting, I will wait 3 seconds before I respond. And then, here's the key, commit to it. Go back to the person who gave you the feedback, tell them your plan, and ask them to keep an eye out. That's real accountability.
And that really brings everything full circle. Because this whole process, it's not a one-and-done thing. It's a loop. You seek feedback, you analyze it, you take a small action, you refine that image you see in the mirror, and then what? You seek feedback again. It's this amazing, continuous cycle that just fuels your growth forever.
So the real takeaway here is this. Feedback isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to go find. That chance to see ourselves a little more clearly is always right around the corner. The only question is, the next time that mirror shows up, are you going to be ready to take a good, long look?